platform where we take a critical look at very important issues in the polity. And this very day is one that is very important to the People's Democratic Party in Ondo State, and of course as it affects the gubernatorial election come Saturday. My name is Adeolu Gboyega, your regular host on the show. And this morning, again, I will be playing host to the chairman of Ondo State Scholarship Board, Mr. Jeffrey Olu Abidoye. Good to have you on the show.
My pleasure being here. Good morning out there.
Okay. And also, the second guest is the Special Assistant to the Ondo State Governor and Media, Gbenga Akinmoyo, a barrister at law. Gbenga, good to have you here on the show.
It's always a pleasure to be here on a Wednesday morning, and particularly today when we have expectations, high expectations.
All right, let me start from you, Gbenga, being a legal practitioner. What's your reaction to yesterday's ruling at the Supreme Court?
Well, I'm elated by the decisions, no doubt. I can't say that we didn't say so. Indeed, we gave advance warning of what would happen at the Court of Appeal. But that's a matter for the judges and the justices who are to sit, we understand, about 12 o'clock or thereabouts today to give their judgment on what they listened to in respect of the challenges that were made by Adeolu Gboyega to his substitution by the INEC. But as people will be well accustomed to now, a lot of things has happened in the last 7 days since we're last on this program. And we can bring our people up to date because this is setting the record straight. The Supreme Court were dragged into the whole situation regarding Adeolu Gboyega's candidacy as opposed to Jimoh's name, Jimoh Ibrahim, who was placed on the record as the PDP candidate. We didn't want it to go to the Supreme Court, but as I said last week, and I gave an analogy in some circles, that if you're playing in the quarterfinals of a football match, you complete it. If you win, you proceed to the semis. If you lose, you'll go out of the competition. You don't go from the quarterfinals in an abridged or an abandoned match and then proceed straight to the finals of any tournament. It's not done. It's not recognized anywhere over the globe. And this is what our brothers in the opposition unit or camp or whatever they want to call it were trying to do. They tried to circumvent, as the Supreme Court justices said, the course of justice. They tried to abridge the rules, amend the rules, or apply their own rules. You know, when you go into an examination and an examiner sets questions for you, and because you've not sufficiently revised or prepared yourself, what you do now is you set your own questions and begin to answer them along the lines of, let me put down everything I know in my head on the subject of physics, chemistry, maths, biology, or whatever. And at the end of the day, what is going to result is complete failure. So what these guys did was they thought that they could leapfrog to the Supreme Court, set their own questions and answer them themselves. And what they met was a 5-man panel led by the acting Chief Justice of the Federation of Nigeria, Walter Onogun, who said in so many terms the irresponsibility of those who brought this case. For SAN, who represented one of the respondents, was not only reprimanded, was not only dressed down, was not only called all sorts of names that I can't repeat here, but he was also given what is now on record as the highest damages that could be awarded against a legal practitioner. Now let us understand what happened here. The Supreme Court said, you have done your job in such a shoddy, haphazard, unacceptable, and unrecognizable manner in the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court, to the extent that we were going to fine you personally, not your clients. We're going to fine you personally. And it runs into the tune of about 15 million naira. Now, if we absorb that, we are saying that in so many ways, the people that went to go and hire Nwa for SAN to represent them obviously concocted all kinds of stories. Now, he bought it. But we're talking about the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where you have distinguished jurists and judges who sit down and they look at issues. And at the end of the day, they were disgusted. They said, what is this matter doing in front of us? It didn't take them very long to say, you know what? Let the Court of Appeal that are sitting on this matter go back and give their judgment. Continue from where you left off. But more importantly, the judge, the son who was involved at the center of this was fined personally. That is coming from his own pocket, not his client. And what they said was, these motions that you have brought is ridiculous. It's a waste of time. They're intended to ridicule the whole judicial system. If we allow this to happen, then everything about our law and our judiciary will grind to a halt. They went as far as saying, and I quote, "You cannot box the lower court to a corner and then come to the Supreme Court to start asking for withdrawal of motions." We said it a long time ago that this was all an exercise in time wasted. You know what? We're in the tribunal. Let's go to the next level. Let's go to the next level. Let's go to the Court of Appeal. Let's bring vexatious, frivolous actions, allegations that cannot be substantiated. Let's accuse the judges of accepting bribe. Let's accuse them of being biased. Let's bring all manner of allegations. At least people will hear us. And at the end of the day, time was being eroded. This whole process started around about the 27th of October when INEC substituted the name of INEC. We are now today, the 23rd of November. Nearly a month has surpassed of time wasting. INEC are culpable in a way, but more importantly, the judges have sat down and they said that those lawyers that were employed to do this hatchet job, and I use the word very strongly, hatchet job, ought to be reprimanded. And that's what happened. And what you find is they said that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria must be obtained.
Okay.
Must be upheld.
Now, you've said a whole lot about happenings at the Supreme Court yesterday. Now, Jeff, let's be specific now, because I know for sure that there is a lot of apprehension in town. People want to know when exactly the appeal court is sitting today. And then, you know, there are arguments in certain quarters that the Supreme Court, they don't actually mandate the appeal court to go give judgment today, but to entertain some other appeals by the Jimoh Ibrahim faction.
Well, thank you so much. I will start by the statement credited to one of the greatest writers of our time in Nigeria, Chinua Achebe by name, in one of his books, Hour of God. He says, and I quote, "When a blind man decides to walk naked on the street, he might not know how many people are watching his nakedness because he couldn't see. But the shame, according to him, and the reproach belongs to his kinsmen." What we are witnessing is a ridicule. It's a show of shame, of salt. In the name of ambition, you now subjected the Ondo State people to this kind of tension. You now begins to raise the amber of unhealthy rivalry here because you are doing some questionable, some dirty job somewhere and all that. And Yoruba the man talking when you whether they like it or not, they've been running for cover. You know, when you live a life of a liar, when you tell one small lie, you need a bigger lie to swallow it and to cover it neatly. They've been running from Okona Bank Court. Then they set up the Juma-led Sanke, team. They intimidated them, they harassed them, and all that. Came up with a lot of lies, and then swear an oath to say what is not available. And somehow God allowed it. Then they moved on. Went to the Ibrahim Salawa court. They tried all kind of gangsterism, all kind of tactics to just intimidate and ensure that they lose focus. But from the word go, the Salawa Ibrahim said, "Oh God, we know where we are going. We're here to do job. We have to do business." And when they found out that look, they are going ahead, and that because on a good note, Justice Alawa, the first listen, gave them 3 good days to go and file in their papers as far as the whole matter is concerned. 3 good days, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. They did not submit a page. They didn't have anything to do. And then when you remove that, they do the whole of weekend, because that is 5 solid days as far as I'm concerned. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 5 solid days. They couldn't present any paper because they were looking for ambushing. They were looking for and all that. It is really sad. As far as we are concerned today, you see, they trust in chariots, they believe in horses, according to the Bible. They were depending on their godfatherism, they were depending on, those who matter, this and that. But we, as far as we are concerned, in the Makarofi-led group of of PDP. The owner of the house, we are the engine room. We are in house, Erodebawa. We in Ondo State, being led by our governor, who I see today as a political icon of sorts, who I've seen today as a doyen of democracy in our nation. That, according to Robert Schuller, he said, tough time never lie, but tough people do. And then in addition to that, Adeolu Gboyega, a man of integrity, of impeccable character, politically, professionally, maritally, parentally. He's a man of repute and all that. You were calm. Because, yes, they believe in one power here and there. Yes, they believe in the porosity of the system. Yet they think they can capitalize on the leakages. Yet they think they can capitalize on the rascality at certain level, you know, and all that. And then they believe that they will continue to do that. But today,
okay, what if the judgment today does not go in your favor?
Well, my brother, let me say this point blank.
What if?
Yeah.
What if?
It's a two-way thing.
We are very, 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 very sure. The reason being that, look, that's why I gave you the analysis. If they are sure what they are talking about. For instance, they started, you know, on a wrong footing. They went to Okoaban Court, the same chamber.
Sorry,
that was.
What do you mean by it doesn't go in our favor?
That is if the appeal court is saying, okay, let's uphold Jimoh Ibrahim as the candidate of PDP in Ondo State.
If.
Yeah.
Big word. I keep saying if is a big word. If my mother and father did not meet over 50 years ago, I would not be here today, but I am. There are some eventualities that are not reasonably foreseeable. And you know what? Law is almost like a science. You add A to B, you will always get C and D. It's basic. When you consider all the political intrigues, the intricacies of the faculties of this world, of the Oluyedes of this world, how they concocted and contrived and shopped and looked for a particular judge in Justice Okonabang to give them a particular judgment. And then the judgment was not in the right text. Then they now went back to change it from 2019 to 2016 so that they could now go and ask the courts in contempt to say, change the name. And against the backdrop of legal advice that was given by INEC legal team that do not change the name, do not substitute, we do not have any basis for it. They forced a change. And then in brackets, they now said, court order. Court order. It's never happened in the history of Nigeria. Everything was stage managed just to make sure that a particular candidate does not feature. All these things have now come to light. They are now in the purview of the Court of Appeal. I said it earlier today, that a non-lawyer can analyze this case and say it's one direction. There is only one verdict that can come out of the court today, but we're not going to preempt. I'm not going to talk about, I don't want to put words into the lips of the justices.
It went from all the legal drama.
But guess what? Whether they rule in our favor or not, we know that at the end of time, the truth will prevail and Adeolu Gboyega will continue to be the candidate of the PDP in this election and not an Accord Party member in what's his name? Jimoh, what's Aliu? Who today? Who today has confirmed that I don't want to be governor. I've already achieved my objective.
Yeah, did he say that?
Oh, he said that after the stakeholders meeting with INEC yesterday in a public interview by pressmen. He said, look, I've got to where I want to get to. The chaos and crisis I wanted to create and cause, I've done it. 4 days to elections, what are you talking about? My name is still on the list. They haven't changed it yet. But guess what? It's going to change very quickly. And that is what our people at home need to understand. This whole thing was orchestrated. It was all state managed to ensure that a particular strong major candidate of the party for the last 27 days has not been able to campaign to the grassroots at the time that it matters most.
If Jimoh Ibrahim had not dragged you guys to court, do you see him as a good material for
good what?
Oh, you mean
businessman?
You mean
Jimoh Ibrahim as a good material
for business?
No. For the position of governor.
Certainly not.
Why?
He's not.
To start with.
What are your reservations?